tradcasts, traditionalists, okay? Not to be confused with the people who have traditions and who take them serious, okay? The trad is more often than not someone who has no traditions whatsoever and is trying to artificially reconstruct this sort of thing, for whatever reason. Usually not particularly devout, whatever their religious persuasion, whatever. This sort of phenomenon is takes place in a lot of different religions, but it has the same appeals. I'm not like, this isn't even a sectarian thing. This isn't going to be a sectarian video, and I'm less and less I'm interested in that sort of thing. But these kind of people are just super annoying, and this is a phenomenon that's lines right up, go figure, with a certain kind of person who maybe supports like the Russian army. Okay, it's the same people, really across the board. Okay, and just starting out with, say, Nick Fuentes, all right, who we can call, we'll take this as an example of a tradcath, where this guy, I mean, you really wonder what business he even has commenting on American politics at all, when he states himself his movement is monarchist, is a Catholic monarchist movement. I mean, that's like his own word. He says to be in his movement, you must be Catholic. It's a Catholic movement. You must be a monarchist. You really need to be a tradcath. It's a tradcath movement. But this really has nothing to do whatsoever with our country or the politics that he's obsessed with. He basically has this thing now where he's just trying to run Trump's campaign into the ground under the guise of like trying to fix it or something, as if that could even be possible. Like you could sabotage someone's campaign to the point where they are victorious or something. Like you're just showing that this, if you need to intervene to that level to help someone's campaign, they probably aren't qualified to leave the nation, and that's all that you're putting on display with these weird things. But what it's just entirely performative about his whole thing. It's very strange that this is a movement that has any that his movement has any traction at all, except with maybe some of the younger crowd who really didn't know any better, who got into his thing because he seemed like a leader of more like a troublemaker kind of right-wing element. But it's really revealed itself for what it is at this point. And if you're still affiliated with that, with not only is nonsense, but if you say, hey, this is a tradcath movement, you couldn't really call that America First, really, could you? The first America First movement, nothing to do with tradcath or Catholicism at all. And Charles Lindbergh himself was a Lutheran, not a Catholic. Yeah, the whole thing's a fraud, and it should call itself Rome First. It has nothing to do with America First. Americans want nothing to do with that. If you want to say that America's gone totally wrong and was wrong from its inception. And only Catholicism can fix it. Just call it something else, because you're not a patriot in any kind of way. You really shouldn't. What business do you have commenting on these politics? There's no monarchist candidate. There's no king-elect at stake or something. But it's just how serious these people are. And frankly, how many of these people even go to church is about very few of them. Okay. And if you interact with these people, they'll, it's kind of crazy how few of these people will come across like hardcore, Thomas, like a Thomas Aquinas, like they're like hardcore, they're posting all these JPEGs of old paintings and calling themselves some pope with, and they've got like the Pope graphic with red eyes and all, and they don't go to church like ever, which is kind of a Catholic thing. And I know a lot of Catholics are really like that as well. Maybe the more genuine Catholic, again, that's not who this is entirely about. When I speak of trads, I'm not saying anyone who has traditions or a traditional religion or any Catholic or even any Orthodox, because most of those people are basically normal people. And, most Orthodox are just like immigrant communities, and most of these churches are just like immigrant, there's just like centers for different ethnic groups, like Latvians or something, or like, whatever, Greeks and Romanians, Ukrainians, Russians, or what have you. But these people aren't going to be particularly trad. These people are probably weirded out by the trad phenomenon coming into because they're probably not used to people converting to their ethnic sect, and every Orthodox church, there's no American Orthodoxy or something, or even any kind of Western European Orthodoxy at all. It just doesn't exist. I mean, they've kind of left that to Rome historically. They just ceded this territory, and even with things like the Ravenna thing, they kind of acknowledge that's like Rome's territory, and that like Catholicism is like the legitimate thing in like Europe, Western Europe, and so these people are probably kind of weirded out by these kind of people who are like finding out about the religion from the internet and how based it is, that these guys are I don't even know, like they're like they've seen the JPEGs where they're like sprinkling the holy water on the missile, and they've got all the AKs, and they're putting the holy water on the Kalashnikovs, and then the troops are coming, and they're putting the holy water on the and they're, oh man, this is so much more based than the church I grew up in, than the goofy evangelical mega church I grew up in, or what have you. And this is a lot of the America hating, and even just the self-hating, the self-hatred of these people. The whole phenomenon of these people is not that different than people who get really into rap, and start dressing like, there's something that they're not. It's the same thing, because they see this thing as ethnic and exotic, and they want to be a part of it, and that's how they get into this stuff, and that's how they're carrying on this thing on the internet, usually not even going to these churches or whatever. And if you bump into these people on the internet, usually most of the time they'll basically admit to that they've never even stepped foot into any of these churches. And it's a mostly internet phenomenon, but sometimes they do. And sometimes, like on Twitter, I've seen I've seen accounts that are like very big, like trad cath accounts, and like in the right wing Twitter sphere, and they'll be going on and on for years about Catholicism, and you will, everyone must submit to the Pope, and so forth. And then after years they'll say like, hey, congratulate me, I just got baptized or something. And it's just kind of bizarre. Like they just got baptized after like making a big show of all this stuff. And because it is kind of crazy hard for people to get baptized. Like as an adult, you don't really get baptized, and these people will complain sometimes. You'll see this stuff, just how hard it is to get baptized into the Catholic Church. Whereas a baby, they'll just they'll sprinkle the baby like right after it's born. And then if you're an adult and then you make like a profession of faith that you want to be a Catholic, they'll sit you on the side for a year and say you need to take classes and you need to do all this stuff to get baptized into the church. Okay, so it's very amusing. It's very bizarre that that's how they're like. It's strange for me to see, as a Baptist, where you pretty much just ask to be baptized, you make a profession of faith, and then you're baptized and you're in. It's not a year-long set of classes and things. People pretty much can see if you're good or not. Okay. But yeah, it's a totally different thing. And so usually these people are completely ignorant of that sort of thing, and usually they're basically ignorant of Christianity in general, and then of even the precepts of the religion that they're affecting, that they're assuming to be a part of. I mean, the whole thing is just fake, and it just comes down to like a total facade of religion, of religiosity, which is why you hit these people up, and it's usually, there's just so little to it, and I mean, but it's just affecting people across the board, and I think it's becoming a bigger phenomenon because there's however many people who are like converting from evangelical to like Catholic or whatever, and it's people in these right wing spheres and things where because it's being heavily promoted, and they're just crapping all over really the religion of the country, which is Protestantism. But they're all sick of it, and they hate Protestants, and everything bad is to be blamed on Protestant, and everything good is Catholic, and this or that is Catholic, and even though really the truth of it, I see it a little bit differently. I mean, WASPs have the King James Bible and William Shakespeare, and really no one else has anything that, to me, no one else has anything that really comes close to that. And then even you say things like, the English language, or all Germanic countries, or the United States of America, and I don't know, these things seem a little bit better than garbage Russia or something. This country that has a priest run by the secret police historically, and that's going back well over 100 years. That goes back even before the Bolsheviks, and even it goes back, I'd say, with Orthodox, it goes back, like Greek Orthodox priests were basically agents of the Sultan, of the Turkish Sultan, for like hundreds of years or something. They do what the government tells them to, because this is a state-run religion. And really, that's what these religions are more about. And what's happening with this phenomenon is basically a combination of fundamentalism being placed onto this. Like it's the fundamentalist template being applied to these other religions that are not really meant for that. For instance, Catholicism isn't even supposed to really be by choice, which is why it's very strange for them when they have people converting, and that's why it's a whole process. That's why they're very suspicious when you want to get baptized. Because the idea of Catholicism is supposed to be that you're born, you're baptized into the church automatically, and then you just go to the nearest church, and then that's where you get communion, and that's where you get the wafer, and that's where or whatever, and the priest deals with you, and that's it. And you don't need to decide what's the best church or what's the most Catholic-y, whatever. You just go to the closest one because it's all the same, right? That's where they're all there to deal with, the local faithful or whatever. And orthodoxy is the same thing, and everything that you could talk with about Catholicism with this, orthodoxy is basically the same. They're very similar. And frankly, you could find all this stuff in Protestantism too, to some extent. And that's why it's kind of weird, and it's kind of a tell how much they hate, especially Orthodox. Like, why do Orthodox hate Protestants so much? What do they hate? How dare you protest against the Roman Catholic Church that we broke off from as well, just only a few hundred years before that. Like, why wouldn't they be happy to see, because Lutherans do the same stuff. They have all the priests with the robes and things and whatever. Or like the Church of England, you'd think they would be like, well, that's kind of like what we did. We broke from, we didn't really acknowledge the Pope, so we broke off from that and did our own thing. And instead, they hate Protestants. They hate the religion that people have in this country, that most people have, the core American religion. I mean, like I said, to me, America is a Baptist country, and that's why this is about freedom of religion. Because I'm sorry, but we invented freedom of religion, separation of church and state. That's not even Thomas Jefferson's quote. He's quoting Roger Williams. He's quoting a Baptist. And when he comes up with this, he's writing to Baptists. There's the letter to the Danbury Baptists is kind of a famous document, and kind of famous as to the First Amendment and how this comes about, because it's a Baptist thing. This is why this is maybe my bias, just to lay it on the table, because it's a little different. This is a fundamentalist concept, which is where you grow up and you decide for yourself if you want to be part of this religion, if you're into it or not, and you read the book, you see if you agree with it, and you get baptized, and then you find the church that's most agrees with you, and you do what you feel is right according to your conscience. And as Baptists, we kind of wish the same for everybody, even though that's really only how our religion works. Most of the other time, you're basically born into it, or so forth. I'm not against people, choosing a whatever religion. Even religions I think are bogus. I think people should be free to do that. I don't want to compel these people to come into my church or something, to like force people to come to my church, because it's going to pollute my church with their ideas, or so, and so on. With that's just how I see things. For Catholicism, it doesn't matter. You go to the church no matter what. You should just be going to the closest one. You shouldn't be even trying to find the most based church or something. Like you have to find the most the Catholic Church that's the most fundamentalist, traditionalist, or whatever, the most hardcore, you should just go to whatever one. That's what the Pope would have for you. That's why they put those out. That's why they're spending money on this stuff. You could just go to whatever one, get communion, and go on with your day. Or so. Of course, most of these people don't go to like I say, most of these people don't go to any church. But if they do, they'll find like one that does the Tridentine Latin Mass or something, all in Latin, like, because they want to hear it in a foreign language. They want to hear it in a language they don't understand because it's more exotic that way. It's more, mystical and things. But especially they want something that just seems completely foreign and Eastern. And so more and more you're seeing Orthodox converts in this country, which I don't really like because this is mostly like, I'm not, if someone's like a immigrant from some Orthodox country and they just go to the Orthodox, like, I'm not trying to like, rain on their parade or whatever. I don't really care. Like, do your thing, but those people really aren't that annoying usually. They don't really hit you up with all these things. They don't really hate Protestants. They don't really hate they usually just, they're not that into it. Maybe you could argue also, but they don't have all these weird hangups. They're not bashing, the religion that established the country. I'm sorry, it's a Protestant country. Like, unless you just think there shouldn't be anything to that at all. I mean, yeah, it's mostly like the government is secular, but it's meant for like Protestants and also, maybe minorities of this or that. That's fine. That's part of the concept of the United States. That, a few religious minorities or so it's not a big deal. But more and more it is becoming a big deal because it's this kind of hatred. And these are the people who are the real sectarians because, I don't start out my day to bash Catholicism or something or whatever. It comes into play because they're on the attack. And in a real way with the Orthodox, with the Russian Orthodox, in real life right now, they're behaving basically worse than like ISIS or something, which is not a completely different phenomenon. But I mean, they're at war, and all their war propaganda is the two big planks. And Russian propaganda just throws out all this stuff, and of course it's all fake. Like if you take the bait on any of the stuff, you're kind of a dumbass. Like when they act like they're right wing, or when they act like they're left wing, or when they they do this on purpose to just keep people confused, and also to get people to get a wide array of sympathizers and things like that, which they do. They successfully do, because people tend to be, because most people are kind of dumbass. Not that they're getting most people, but they're getting, there's quite a few dumbasses out there to get. And really the people they're getting are mostly kind of weird. But then also people who are very much at the top, like J.D. Vance or something, who's very much part of this phenomenon. Tucker Carlson also as well. And where this guy is convert to Catholicism. He's such a hillbilly, or he's such a hillbilly from Appalachia, but he converts to Roman Catholicism. And his wife is a Hindu, like from India or something. So he's really sincere about it. It's not just like he just wants to, seem kind of, he wants to play kind of, like Templar Crusader, you know, he burns the incense and he wants to put the women in the veil, and then they got, you know, or whatever. Like how serious is this guy about you know, the eternal salvation from the Catholic Church when his wife isn't even Catholic. You know, are his kids Catholic? Who knows, you know. But he's very much a Russia sympathizer, and he's very much a very online kind of guy. And just across the board is all these people who are trad Catholic convert, Orthodox convert, hate Protestant, are into the Russia thing. You know, for whatever reason, but it's probably not a big accident. But Russia definitely promotes this stuff big time, even though the Russian army isn't friendly to Catholics. And frankly, I mean, Ukraine has a large Greek Catholic population, and you'd think that a Catholic would think that's kind of an interesting church or an interesting heritage that needs to be preserved because it's somewhat different than, you know, they submit to the Pope, whatever, they kiss the ring, they do all this stuff, but they have a different, like, rite or whatever, you know. You would think, you know, if there were sincere Catholics, you would think that they would, you know, that would be their guys and they would want to see that preserved or whatever. Wherever Russia goes, they shut that down. And they say, you know, you have to be Russian Orthodox. You know, their church, which has a KGB agent, you know, as the patriarch, like a literal KGB agent who was put into the church to spy and to do like ecumenical things, outreach, and to infiltrate other churches and to corrupt other churches in the Christian religion as a whole. That's like what they're more into. And that's what, and even when they shut other churches down, they never say a peep about that. Like, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, if you've ever seen Tucker Carlson complain about Russians who very much ruthlessly put down Protestant evangelical churches in Ukraine. And Ukraine has like the largest percentage of like Baptist churches in Europe. You could say what you will about, you know, the quality of these churches or whatever, or, you know, what you will, but every other church that's not Russian Orthodox or like Islam, you know, because they do, you know, they're about promoting Islam, and, you know, Putin will kiss the Quran, all of this stuff. You know, they're building like the biggest mosque or whatever in like Moscow, but meanwhile, they crack down on evangelical Christian, Protestant, Baptist, any kind of and anything different than Russian Orthodox, you know, Jehovah's Witness, and so on and so forth. Not that I like all the stuff, but they don't have any right. You know, the Russian army has no right to crack down on this stuff. The Russian Orthodox, what right do they have to crack down on other people's religion? Really, you know, just about no matter how goofy it is, you know, they're forcing people to be Russian Orthodox. They show up to town, they tear your church down, they arrest your pastor, your priest, the deacons, and then they turn your church into Russian Orthodox. They say everyone needs to go to Russian Orthodox from now on. Of course, most people then just don't go to church, you know, because actually in Russia has like the lowest church attendance like imaginable. Like almost nobody even goes. And I mean, I remember I a long time ago, and even before the trad phenomenon got kind of big, I did go through phases where I'd be curious about other religions and things, and I would, you know, check this stuff out or check out this or that, and I would talk to different people, and it wasn't so clear as it is now, because you don't have like, I didn't realize just so many years back just how corrupt this church was, that this is a church that worked with the Tsar's secret police. So then, the Bolsheviks, they hated them, so they would kill all the priests, and then they just had their own guys act as priests. And then and that's who are still the priests. It's still the same people from the Soviet Union who would pose as priests, to get intel for the Communist Party, to get intel for the Soviet Union and to spread propaganda. And that's who's literally in charge, a literal KGB agent, a literal communist. Like, I mean, like, just consider the implication of that. Like, this isn't someone who believes in God, is the head of the church. This is what you call a really evil person. And one of the worst things you could do is to knowingly just lie to people about God and what your religious beliefs and things, and to trick people into a religion. And you're tricking people, the beliefs you're putting on them, you don't even hold. And you're only doing it to control people. And you don't care about, what these teachings could affect your life, or, the outcome that's going to have for your eternal soul. They're really the most evil people. And that can't be stressed enough. Like, they are the lowest of the low. And that's not just even my opinion. Although it's completely logical, like, especially from a Christian point of view, that's the most evil thing that you could do, is to lie to people, like, to be a false prophet, but it's in the Bible. And if you read, I don't know, all throughout the New Testament, it goes into what these people are. And they're the most evil people. They're people without hope. They're people with zero conscience. They don't even have a conscience anymore. They're reprobate, rejected by God, because they're so evil. They've rejected God, and God has rejected them. And they are now false prophet. Okay? It's called a reprobate. It's in the Bible, sorry. But that's what it says about these kind of people, like the people who run the Russian Orthodox Church. And, more than any, it says these are the most evil people, and they'll do really anything. And it'll say, you could say, oh, well, what about sodomite? Well, hold up. Most of the time, the Bible's talking about reprobates. It's talking about false prophets. That's not even up for debate. That's just, it fills the pages. And, you just find every passage where it talks about this kind of person. This doomed, evil it's usually talking about, this is in Peter, Second Peter and Romans and Jude and so on and so forth. And it's usually talking about a false prophet and people who will infiltrate, or people who are posing as religious authorities while they lie to people, but they don't even believe in God themselves. Okay, so how Christian are you if that's who you are going to promote, and that's who you'll defend, and you're going to cheer on this army and the Russian soldier, and you're going to cry when these people get what they deserve on the battlefield, and that's what you see from all the trads. Oh, boo-hoo, look at what the drone did to the Russian soldier. It's not fair, where's the martial virtues in that, because they're so, no, the fighting should be done with arrows and swords, and not these people are that dumb and that shallow and childish and just fake. These are just fake ass people, up and down, and that's why they're just gonna go. however many people like this, I'll also say that they're Christian, or they're evangelical Christian, because you chalk it up, and there's however many people who like Stu Peters or something, or Alex Jones or something, and they're right wing based commentators on the they have all the conspiracy theories and all that. But how about this conspiracy theory? You're a piece of shit, Stu Peters, and you are a false prophet, and you deserve, you could say you're an evangelical Christian, but you deserve to burn in hell forever. You're a piece of trash. Because you lie to people and pose as something that you're not, and you clearly don't. Because if you're going to go on and on about the Russian army, and then you're going to say you're evangelical Christian, and you cry when you see false prophets get exactly what they deserve. Because Zelensky, and God bless Zelensky for this, he is actually taking action against this phony church. Yeah, and these people will cry about it. And you can only just assume the worst about a person like that. You could say maybe they're really, really stupid and really dumb. And that's definitely part of it, for sure. And maybe that's the whole story of some of these people. And, maybe they're just feeble-minded, and they're not just evil and plotting. They're just really dumb, and they just don't get it, and they're tricked by someone else. But then there's also people who they're kind of dumb, but they're not that dumb. But they're going to trick the people who are a little bit dumber than them, like Stu Peters or Alex Jones or something. And that's all they need to do, because there's a lot of dumb people out there, and it doesn't take much. And so they're going to cry, oh, boo-hoo-hoo. The Orthodox priests are so mistreated by Zelensky. Zelensky banned Christianity in Ukraine. That sort of thing is a complete lie. And actually, if you're going to claim to be evangelical like some of these people do, Zelensky is actually defending your church, from an army that would shut it down. That's pretty disingenuous. It's pretty rotten. It's already, I think it's bad enough that just the overall silence of all the Baptist churches, all the evangelical churches, who and it's not all of them, because there's some that are very good and can see this sort of thing, can see clearly. But however many are and I see it, even people I know, where they're going to go to bat for Russia. And I mean, some of them maybe are just really dumb or uninformed or something. And like I say, I really assume the worst. Sometimes I just feel bad for people, and I just think they're dumber than I thought. But also maybe they're just kind of worse people than I thought. And that's the case for quite a few people. I mean, because I've never seen someone like I don't know, like let's just say Ben the Baptist has a show, but he only really defends Russia on it, and I never really see him comment. But he should know better that Russian Orthodoxy is false. It's run by KGB. It's run by it has strange doctrines. Okay, especially if you're going to just go to Baptist, while these people are shutting down Baptist churches, and you're calling yourself Ben the Baptist, but you never speak on that because it doesn't get you any conservative traction in the culture wars. But that's not what this should be about. If we're really about sincerity with our beliefs and just speaking the truth, even no matter who agrees with you or not, or who, you have principles and you're going to hold to it no matter what, no matter how much of a minority you are, then I think you kind of throw all that away when you're going to start defending Russia and you won't speak to that. And then you've got a show where you have an audience, and you're going to, you don't bring attention to that these people violate freedom of religion. That in Russia you can't spread the gospel. There's no freedom of religion, and even in Baptists in Russia will say that, because there are some that exist in Russia. In Ukraine, where the Russian army goes, they just shut it. They just destroy your church and put you in jail and shut the whole thing down. But in Russia, there actually are a heavily, a pretty persecuted Baptist minority. There's a few other things over there, but you can exist, but you can't share your beliefs with anyone at all. It's against the law over there, because they have laws against proselytizing, and they'll say that they have informants in the Baptist churches, and if you bring a guest to church, then you go to jail, and the pastor goes to jail, and whoever else goes to jail, because you can't bring a guest to church, because then because that person is probably Russian Orthodox by birth, and then because you're not allowed to tell them, about what your beliefs about the Bible or something. It's against the law. It's literally against the law. So if what does this say about Russia? You just think about that. If you're Ben the Baptist and you believe you need someone to preach the gospel to you to get you saved, but Russia makes it illegal to do that in Russia. What does it say about the Russian nation? And then they promote orthodoxy, where they have a KGB agent for the priest, for the patriarch of the whole church. And then that follows into the army, because it's a state religion. It's a state-backed religion. It goes with the army. And then Ben the Baptist is like cheering that on. Yay! Because this is an army that's against, global homo or something. What is it even for? Like, what? Give me a break. It's not for anything better, according to what you supposedly believe. So I start, after a while, I start to assume the worst about people. And, or I just think this isn't someone who has any moral authority. You can say they're ignorant, but then why listen to them for any kind of on any spiritual matter when they're that ignorant themselves? Okay. There'd be no point. They're obviously ignorant. They need to get educated themselves before they run their mouth. I mean, if you're just dumb, if you're just ignorant, if you just don't know the issues, that's okay. Obviously, I'm not talking about someone who just has no idea what's going on with this. But some people are kind of running out of excuses with the whole thing. And they see all the stuff. They don't do any research with the stuff. Like, oh, Zelensky banned Christianity in Russia. You didn't do any research before, you run your mouth about that or something? He banned a church that is fake and should be banned by any stretch of the imagination. And we've never even had leaders who were that decisive ever. If Russian Orthodox can run rampant because our politicians are going to be too afraid. So Zelensky, I really think, should be applauded for acting so decisively against, because obviously it's going to take some flack because you can make bad propaganda, because you have all these bad faith actors like Tucker Carlson or something who's going to twist the whole thing and be like, look what he's doing against Christians, against the poor priests, and then people with no context to it are fooled and think this is an actual war on Christianity, when that's not even the case at all. And frankly, any sincere Christian should be applauding it. It's just a good thing. It's just a good thing in the world. You can say, well, I don't really care about Ukraine, but this is just a good thing in the whole world, for the whole religion, for the whole Christian religion. You should have somewhat of a broader view than just than even just the United States or something. That's not the beginning. That's not the alpha and omega for me. It is not the United States. I would consider myself a patriotic American, but there's things that I think are higher than that, and a lot of things, frankly, quite a few things, and you know, and I've gone. I mean, I'll go back and forth on my feelings with the country or the government, certainly. But this whole thing, and it's so creepy to see this catching on, because there's no resistance, and people are not in our country doing the research, and it's being promoted by only really bad faith actors and things. And the trad thing is just getting so much traction with so much people on like the right wing are Baptists are they're just doing a bad job with it. I'll just say that they're not really getting people. You know, it's not really the outreach that would be good. People are more excited right now, especially on the right wing. I mean, on the left wing, obviously, there's no interest in any of this stuff. You know, like obviously, liberals aren't like trying to find like a super base church or something, but like on the right wing, that's become a big thing, and it's all amongst the dissident right. It's all Catholicism. It's about the JPEG of the painting and the building, and look at these JPEGs of these buildings, these old buildings, and even though these buildings are like being sold left and right to like mosques and stuff like that, they're like being converted to mosques because no one even goes to them, and is across the board. People don't really go to these, but politically, it's very fun, and it's more of a political phenomenon because it's kind of about it's like what they say about fascists or something, or people will do like fascist studies or what fascism is or something, and they'll say this is like. Fascism is always about like this, trying to bring about this imagined golden age from the past or something. Like, I don't know how much I agree with that, but I do think there is something to that. You like they'll be like, oh, like, the Khmer Rouge are really fascist because they put like Angkor Wat on the flag or whatever, if I'm not mistaken. Like, and like all this stuff, like there's like a golden age of Cambodia that they have in mind that maybe never really existed, but they're going to bring it back. And the whole thing is kind of a fraud. It's kind of fake, and it's just a facade that would easily crumble on any kind of scrutiny. But it's not really people with really entrenched roots in this who are doing it, who are after it, who are promoting it, who are all about it. Like it's not necessarily the trad phenomenon isn't being propelled by like Irish Catholics who've been here for forever and are like really into it, or like it's part of their ethnicity and part of their thing and all that. It's more like those are just that's just like a normal Catholic. Okay, this is more about the rootless, the deracinated people who have no identity, who are searching for a very strong identity, who think that there's some kind of golden age that they missed out on, and they're going to bring this thing back, and they're going to bring, some like Catholic utopian thing, or like an Orthodox America or something, and I mean, it's very flimsy feeling. It's very flimsy, or maybe we could say it's very brittle, but it's just cheap, okay? And it just doesn't. The whole thing is like it doesn't even seem like an organic religion. It just seems like. You could imagine someone in like their crummy room, and they're just obsessed with like the JPEGs. That they're looking at the computer, and they're crafting a fake identity online, and that's more what it's about. But there's a lot of people like that, and they hate their own dull religion or something, or their evangelical church, which I mean is probably there's probably good reasons for that. A lot of these churches are pretty corny. Like that. That's just, truth be told, yeah. But the answer isn't necessarily to get put gold plating on everything and wear a golden cape and a robe and a hat or something. And then they always, and then go to make the same comments. And something about these people is they all repeat kind of the same stuff. And once you interact with them, however much, you kind of get the whole program to it. Like they'll always say the same stuff. Like Catholics will say you're about the Bible or something. Well, we wrote the Bible or something. Like, oh wow, sure. Even though nothing at the time resembled your church right then, nothing until the Council of Trent really did. But okay, sure, man. I mean, I don't want to take this into a hard, sectarian rant or something, but these people, they all kind of make the same arguments. You just hear the same stuff over and over again, and none of it's really original. And real quick, you just figure these people they're repeating what they've heard. It's very much slogans, and maybe that's what worked on them, and that's what they're going to go by. I've seen a few cases like that, but I don't know. I just think it's a bad phenomenon that needs to be combated in some way or another. It's kind of become where even the vice president, I would say, is part of this, because he's going on the internet and it's coming from the same place. He's the same thing. These people are kind of, not to say he's not really like a hillbilly or something, but maybe he's trailer trash or something, or whatever. I guess I don't even know what he really is. He's poor or something, but he went to, because he's from Ohio. He's not really from Appalachia or something. He's a complete fraud in pretty much every way. But that's the kind of person who gets into the stuff. It's funny that how all these people hate each other, and now you see because Nick Fuentes is against J.D. Vance and against Tucker Carlson, but they're all the same thing. That might even be by design from the same source, that these people, they're all kind of beholden to Russian narratives, but then they all hate each other's guts. They all have the same religion, but they hate each other's guts. I guess Tucker Carlson is, I think, Episcopalian, but I wouldn't be surprised if he converts to Catholicism, and he definitely goes to bat for Catholic and for Orthodox, and people have pointed out he's got icons in his home and things like that, which I always just think that those icons look really weird. Like the artwork on them, I don't think it's very good, and Catholics can at least boast a lot of excellent artwork. Catholics have Diego Velázquez. There's nothing like that. Orthodox just have these icons. They don't have statues because their religion's again has a bizarre prohibition against any kind of artwork with more than 2 inches of relief or something like that, which is, you could go on and on about how bad iconoclasts are, but that kind of puts you in the realm almost. It's a strange it's like a Sharia prohibition. That's just my opinion. And what business do you have as a Westerner getting into that? Just to be some weird, kind of different, kind of more more ethnic-y, kind of more exotic than, you know, so your parents will, you know, this ain't your daddy's cornball megachurch, I guess. But you know what? It's not really any better, is it? If it's a KGB agent's megachurch, right? That's not better than Joel Osteen. Like, Joel Osteen, like, he probably is, by all means, he's probably a false prophet, reprobate type, you know. But there's almost a chance that he's not, you know. And but there's no chance with the Orthodox priests. There's no chance whatsoever for these people, because they're led by a KGB agent, and they have all this weird stuff, and they depart so far from, I mean, especially the Russian Orthodox. Like, and let's just take, because however many people maybe will say, well, hey, Carrie, well, you support Ukraine, but aren't most Ukrainians Orthodox? And it's, yeah, okay. Or yeah, okay, you know, this is maybe kind of good people might say, yeah, I hear this. Or Ukraine, well, they only ban Russian Orthodox, you know, they still have Ukrainian Orthodox. You know, you're not all about that. Okay, but the thing is that they have freedom of religion. It's not a state church. Ukrainians can pick a different religion. You can go to Ukraine and tell people about what religion you have. You can tell people the gospel, or you could preach this or that. You can get into whatever you want. You could make, you know, you could decide what you believe freely. Okay? And if you want to be, if you're like Orthodox or something, I'm not trying to just crack on you or something. Or if you're like a Greek Catholic or something, that's not my thing. But if that's what you pick, I'm not trying to force you to nod or something, or try to be divisive on the issue. I don't think it's correct to play politics with this stuff. It's some of the dumbest stuff you could do, especially when we have real problems as a people. Why would we introduce all these sectarian problems, like sectarian divides, into our own country or something, where before we actually could run with freedom of religion? I think that should end with if someone's like, if their religion's like controlled by a foreign government, by like the secret police of a foreign government, yeah, we don't want that in our country. I don't think that's not freedom of religion. That's, you need to go, you know. We don't want your secret policemen posing as priests and trying to take advantage of our freedoms when you're trying to erode them, when you're trying to ruin them, when you're trying to destroy our country. You're promoting propaganda against our own religion, you know. Like, yeah, we don't want that. Like, that's not, I don't think freedom of religion should back these people. Just like it shouldn't back like a terrorist or something. Like if someone like pledges allegiance to like the caliph of like ISIS or something, it's not like that's your freedom of religion or something. You know, you at that point you'd be treated as a terrorist. You know, not like you're just like a regular Sunni Muslim or something. It's the same thing with Orthodox person. Like a Latvian immigrant who goes to the Latvian Orthodox Church is going to be a little bit different than the Russian agent who's here to poison our country and actually attack our values and to attack they're going to behave totally different, you know. And Russian Orthodoxy in our country there is a phenomenon somewhat, you know, with these converts, and this is really across the board with, and this isn't something that most other Orthodox have, but Russian Orthodox do, and not all Russian Orthodox, maybe even not all Russian Orthodox immigrant communities, but it's pretty widespread, and amongst converts, it's nearly universal across the board. Is they'll believe in aerial toll houses because this is maybe you could say it goes back, but their big guy is named Seraphim Rose, who is like a California, he's like a gay hippie who like went to retreat from the world and lived in the woods or something in like a monastery. And he converted to Russian Orthodoxy, and he writes all these books about UFOs and how Orthodoxy like is going to be like this utopian religion for the world and things. And also that there's like demons in the sky, and that their priests have developed spiritual vision, and they can see the toll houses, the toll booths in the sky, and that you will one day have to go through these toll booths. And basically, like, there's going to be like a demon, and it'll be like the demon of like gluttony or something, and you're going to show up to the toll booth, and he's gonna accuse you of something, of being bad or something, you know, of how gluttonous you were or something. And then you'll have to pay him with a token, like, of your good deed. And then if you can do it, you can pass through. If not, you're gonna be stopped and go to hell. You know, and then you'll proceed. Then your soul will float further up into outer space, and then another demon is gonna stop you at the toll booth. And there's all kinds of paintings and icons and literature and stuff about this. And they'll usually do a big defense of the stuff when you press them on it. Like, very few people even know about this, that because they'd be horrified and say this is a complete departure from Christianity in general. Like, and obviously this has severe ramifications if you believe in this stuff. It's not like a theological thing. It's just like, it's not like if you should have leavened or unleavened bread for communion or something. This is, like, if this is what your view is of salvation, of personal salvation, it's going to have very, you know, significant repercussions in your whole world outlook and how you live your life and whatever, and your whole religion. It's very different. You know, you have to have all these, you know, you have to do all the things, and that's right. All the fake religions, anytime you have a situation where it's the state control and the secret police are running it, and they're going to want you to do certain things, right, to get to heaven. And if you don't, you're going to go to hell. But that's very extreme. The toll booth, the aerial toll houses concept, where these demons are like block your path, and it's like, you know, the demon of sodomy, and you've got to show, you know, and good luck with that, Russian converts, by the way. Good luck getting past that one. Because all these, well, whatever. But these people, I mean, I don't know. That's such a big. But if you run into these people, it's a good question to ask. Well, what about the toll houses, the toll booths? Just see what you're dealing with these people. Don't get into other arguments. They're going to drag you into other things. Just the toll houses. You want to hear about that, and just be prepared for like the dumbest crap you've ever heard, like the most sci-fi stuff you've heard this side of like Brigham Young or something, like the most sci-fi this side of L. Ron Hubbard or something. You know, is the space toll house, the space toll booth to heaven. Okay, this is a big thing with Russian Orthodoxy, in particular amongst tradox Russian Orthodox, the trad Russian Orthodox, and in particular Russian Orthodox converts. Okay. Which is like the most extreme phenomenon. It's even a little different than the Russian, than just like the normal trad cath or something. Those people can be a little more normal because we've always had Catholics in our country. We've always kind of known them, even if we've had our differences or something. We kind of, Protestantism kind of came from out of them in some ways. And I mean, or it's not necessarily how I look at it, but we've kind of known and grown, with these people, more or less. It's not totally alien to us. They're not just going for something totally exotic and ethnic, and weird, like just a strange thing no one's ever heard of. That just flies in the face of all the traditional values that all of our ancestors have had for the hundreds of years they've been in this country. And then even before that, even for like however long. Okay. So it's a little bit the most hardcore trad is the Russian Orthodox convert. They're all into all of them. Every trad ortho convert. Have you ever seen one support Ukraine or something? Never. Even though it is, you say that's an Orthodox country. Most of the population's Orthodox. They're under attack. They don't care. They like the one that's puts on a little more of a show because they're sprinkling the missiles and all that. I don't know. I just get sick of it. I just been hearing more and more of the stuff, and it's like they're more than happy to bash like Protestants and all evangelicals, Baptists, even though this is the religion of the country. Like, this is the country's religion. This is the core American religion. You can have a different religion here. I'm not disputing that. Like, but that's at the core of if you think there should be a kind of a core of the country, and it shouldn't just be a free for all and just overrun everything with chaos of different minority groups, you should just appreciate that. Like I don't know, if I was in some other foreign country and they were tolerating my presence and I needed to be there for some reason, even if I thought crap about their religion, I'm not going to run wild and try to trash it all the time. If they're hosting me or something, try to get along with it as best as possible to some extent, I guess. Of course, I'd hate to be in that situation, but if you are, it just seems very much arrogant, and it just seems like even if you choose that, maybe don't be surprised if people start to hate you for it, because absolutely they should. You have shown up somewhere where you don't belong, and you're crapping all over all the native population. I mean, especially it's so dumb because we have. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, our religion's pretty good, and I mean, even I'm a Baptist, but even just in the wider, I prefer any kind of Protestant over any kind of, anything like Russian Orthodoxy or something, or any kind of trad, some fake traditionalist idiot. Like I say, they're not even people with traditions. They're a traditionalist is typically people without traditions. They don't have any tradition, or else they would just live their life. Like the Catholic Church, you just go to the church where you're born, and you just go there and you do your thing, and that's what your family's always done, and you just keep those traditions. You just keep it up, live your life. The traditionalist is someone who has no traditions. It's trying to force them. They're trying to force the issue. That's the only way I could see it. And even I don't know. It's a real phenomenon that is it's gonna get worse. I don't have all the answers on this. I would say a few years ago, I would think that it could be combated through preaching, teaching, and modern propaganda techniques, and through just being more energetic, having a better message, and thing. But as far like just looking at it, it's like we're losing to these people, to this shit. You know, the frickin' they're blowing up. They've got the vice president. They've got all the conservatives. They've got a whole army that's invading other countries right now, and their profile is very high. And if the Russian army, and this is why, you know, if you're evangelical, you're so dumb. And you're probably part of this whole thing. You're probably, you know, just a different stripe of false prophet. You're basically a trad version of an evangelical. If you're cheering on the Russian army, like Stu Peters or someone like that. Like, he's cheering on the Russian army, and he's supposed to be like evangelical Christian. Or so. He's like the conspiracy theorist, and Alex Jones and all these people. But they're cheering on the Russian Orthodox army that bans. They invade other countries, but it's not their fault. They didn't do nothing, and other people provoked them to do it. But they invade other countries. And then, you know, your own religion, they're like stamp out and they shit all over while you defend them. You know, that's called being a cuck, and that's also just being a piece of shit. But it's also just being a fake, you know, and it's just because that's the culture war, whatever. Culture war paradigm. You know, I don't really give a rip about any of that stuff because I'm someone who actually has principles, so I could be very comfortable even if everybody else thinks I'm a complete idiot and I'm the only one who agrees with myself. And I've been in that situation before, and things have been worse. Things have been worse for me before, so I'm not really sweating it. But things are looking kind of bad right now, where it's like we're just being overrun by this crap, and then even the evangelicals they have no defense against it. They're too dumb. Especially the dissident-y, more hardcore, whatever, the more, you know, because probably a lot of the churches I would say are kind of corny or kind of like whatever, that I wouldn't really want to go to. And I mean, I go to a lot of these churches and I find mostly old people and stuff, but then, you know, also just normal people. But like, they're not the same as all this stuff. They just have like a corny church or whatever, but it's the kind of, conspiracy theory, evangelical guy, those guys. And there is kind of a Christian awakening with these people as well, which is like, they can't really be trad, but they could be like a hardcore Christian. They're getting a little more religious, and it's accompanied by all these conspiracy theories. We're seeing that, and those people are fellow travelers with the trads because they carry water for them. Okay, and they have no defenses against them, and they're just not intelligent. They can't do research. They have no principles. So when people are like, "Oh, Zelensky is banning Christianity," they actually just run with that. When they're banning, when he's banning Russian Orthodoxy from Ukraine, he's not banning Orthodoxy even. You could still be Orthodox, but you could be more like, if you're just a normal Ukrainian who is Orthodox, you're not really affected. You know, you're affected if you go to a church that has an agent from Moscow, from the secret police as your priest. And even if you have a problem with it, that's only for your own good, because you're feeble-minded and you've been tricked, you know? any sincere Christian would applaud this. I don't care. You could say, well, what if a lot of these people are dumb? Being a Christian isn't about being a dumbass. It's actually not a good thing. And to be that simple, to be that, foolish. These aren't Christian values or something. Like, to be all stupid. You should be able to discern. You should be someone who can discern, can use your brain and figure this stuff out based on principles. You should have internalized the religion. You should have been a sincere believer. Or if not, it'd be better if you just didn't have, if you were just a secular person. And frankly, I find that, to this point, like, I would rather hang out with someone with no religious beliefs, or someone who's like an atheist or something, than someone who's like a phony religious person or something, or like a trad Cath or Russian Orthodox or something, where they're like just going with secret policemen or something, and just faking this religion for like political aims or something, because they want to see like the country get nuked or whatever, for whatever reason, because they're bitter or what. I don't know, but it's a very real problem, and it's only going to get worse. There's nothing even visible that can stop it. I don't really see any I've lost a lot of respect for people who I would consider people in my own religion, of Baptist, evangelical Christian, for their just total lack of discernment on this, for being totally caught off guard from this, and putting up no resistance, where they don't even see it. They actually will go along with it. Not only do they not see it coming, or they don't see it what it is, or they'll go along with it, and they'll actually carry water for our own enemies. I don't really see any real anything that's really gonna turn this all around, other than the fact that the only really good thing, the most refreshing thing, is actually Zelensky, who, go figure, and he's like, who would have thought that he would be so decisive and act, and have the moral courage to do this stuff. Meanwhile, in our own country, we have fundamentalist Baptists, independent fundamental Baptists, who are actually going to carry water for the Russian army while they invade countries and stuff, like murder people. But these are people who will have a huge problem against girls who wear skimpy clothing or something, or like, they'll go on and on about this stuff, or like flip out about people who say cuss words in movies and this sort of thing. But then they can't figure it out when like the Russian army like invades the country, like pure like naked aggression, and they're just like murdering civilians and like tearing churches down, and they're like, and you can't figure it out. They don't have any kind of clarity in that, any kind of moral clarity. You would think it's almost like you would think that the Bible would have been instructive on right or wrong with this, or like they can't tell if like murder is wrong or something. Like, and then now their big thing is they're sabotaging Trump or whatever, because he's not pro-life enough for their abortion, and they're so about pro-life and abortion. But then they're gonna cheer on like an army that's like killing people and stuff, and like shooting, like rocketing stuff, and like firing missiles into like residential buildings where like just normal people live, and they're trying to live their lives, and then like some Russian asshole fires like a smart bomb into their apartment complex, and then their Christian will be like, oh, I just can't figure out the issue. I'm not that educated enough in foreign affairs or something. it's not that hard to figure out if you have any kind of, I don't know, morals at all or something, or like any kind of religion at all, or any kind of values that you know, you don't have anything like that from the Bible, I guess. Or okay, man. It's just bizarre. But we're going to be overrun by, I mean, more and more you just see conservative, I'm getting more into religion. I'm getting more into the stuff. And it might be like I said, that kind of conspiratorial evangelicalism. And we're seeing a lot of that sort of thing. And it's kind of different, but it's kind of not. Some of it like flat earther and we're seeing more it's kind of different. But then I mean, in the religiosity in general of people is going up. Christian nationalism and things, which is, by the way, just a total fraud and should be rejected. You know, in my opinion, that is something, this whole umbrella is just an umbrella of crap and fake Christianity. Like, I want nothing to do with this. Like, the Christian nationalism, nothing to do with it. Which is entirely fake Christian nationalism, or, you know, and the Christ is Kingers, Christ is King, Christ is King. Give me a break. Find a better slogan. That's not really that edgy or something. And they'll act like, this will teach the, you know, so if we say this, you know, it's actually kind of lame, and it's not even like. I mean, don't you think that Jesus Christ is God? Like, why make that your thing? Christ is King. Like, shut the fuck up. But yeah, all these people are losers, especially, you know, Nick Fuentes, Stu Peters, J.D. Vance, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Andrew Tate. Well, I mean. And that's a good one too. Andrew Tate's like the fake Muslim or whatever. And how come Andrew Tate says, Muslims, yeah, that's the last religion. Yeah, because, because, Muslims don't take any shit. And Muslims are like, if you mess with the Quran, they'll be like, yeah, you know, Papa Cappuccino has or whatever, you know. I forget exactly what he said, but it's something like that. And I mean, that's what he said. He says that what he likes about Islam is that Muslims will react to violence when people like insulted or whatever. But how come Muslims aren't dealing with Andrew Tate in that? You know, I'm not saying, you know, I'm not trying to instigate anything, but you would think that they'd have more of an issue with it, you know, or they're just like, he's learning or something. But he's like doing the worst behaved stuff, and like, you know, you would think at some point this would be blasphemous for their religion, but they have nothing to really say about it. You know, they think it's cool, they think he's cool, or however many of these other goofballs are doing the same thing. Like, and then it shows how fake he is. That, you know, they don't discern that this guy's like a total fraud, like that he's doing all this stuff that is supposedly like against their religion. Because it's like, unless you want to be like, I like that religion because it just it demeans and oppresses women or something. But like, usually Muslims will try to act like Islam actually like dignifies women or something. But then, is that really the case? I don't see them denouncing Andrew Tate's behavior. And this is somebody who has an operation that is funded in part by Russians, and he has all these Russians surrounding him. He has also all the stuff from like Arab, Emirati type whoop-de-woo. I'm not going to act like I know all the details, but it's definitely got some, there's some money coming in from like these foreign countries and things who are promoting this stuff. That's why he does Islam, and his brother Tristan does Russian Orthodox, and he's the Russian Orthodox, and he's the Muslim or something. And you know what? They're both kind of fake. I mean, they just like think that either of them are like going to hell or whatever, and while they hang out, they like live together, and they're like pimping hoes together or whatever. But they just both think each other are going to hell or whatever. It's because neither of them really believe in it, and they just pick these religions strategically, and they just do it based on what's the based religion, and oh man, this one's based because they like oppress women, and they if someone draws a picture of the prophet, they'll beat you up or something. And then the other one, oh, but these ones cool because there's the Kalashnikovs, and they put the holy water on the Kalashnikovs or something. They're both fake versions of religion. I mean, these are both real religions or something. I'm not trying to get all into it with all that, but these are completely fake. It's like a plaster facade that they put. It's just like a cheap it's just like a grimy. It's like some idol that you'd pick up at some like Mexican street fair or something, manufactured in the most crummy place, and that's like their religion. It's that's the whole trad thing. All these people, the whole trad thing is just it's like the religion. It's like made in China or something. It's like but it's probably a little more Russia manufactured. It's made. I don't know, or it's just however you want to look at it. Maybe you could just say it's just straight out of hell, which it basically is, because it's just the most evil people. The whole trad phenomenon, which is completely part and parcel with Russia, is the most evil thing. I mean, aren't these are the most evil people? These are the worst people. There's nothing worse. They don't really get to talk about. I don't really want to hear them go on about LGBT, whatever. These are, they have no right to really criticize anybody. The false prophet is the lowest of the low. There's nobody, and you might think, well, they seem more based, but have some principles, and actually that level of liar you should have a visceral hatred for. You should be able to at some point discern what these people are, maybe not immediately, but through a little bit of there, and maybe, I mean, some of these people, like, it's not hard to figure out at all. Like Andrew Tate or Stu Peters or something. It's just bogus. If you're some like Zoomer, you've gone along with Nick Fuentes for however long, at some point it might be time to grow out of it. There's really no reason for you to still be going on this unless you're just kind of a piece of garbage yourself. At some point, I don't think you'd be a bad guy to jump off the ship if you're a Zoomer and you've been riding it up to that point. But at some point, it's time to go. Are you really for America and the country, or are you for, or are you like some like goofy trad cat monarchist who doesn't even go to church or whatever? But like, I don't know. I have no respect for that sort of thing, and somehow it needs to be beaten back. We need to have people. I don't know how. I don't see anything on the horizon. I see pure foolishness, and to me, the right wing is just overrun by complete morons and the most evil people. So it's not like, things like we're winning or something, but I personally am not about, I don't need to always be winning. I don't need to be always bragging on the internet about how my team is winning. I'll just say it's losing, and I don't care. I'd rather just go down in flames by myself than count myself part of some goofy shit show of liars and just people who where I just hate their guts because they're just some frauds who just lie to people and pretend like they have some religion that they don't even believe in. I'm fine by that. I'm fine. I'm fine to I'd say I'm fine to lose, but I don't really feel like I am. I guess I feel like I'm already in kind of a good spot, one way or another. You could say, I'm maybe all these other people will be way more successful, maybe in the short term, but I don't know. I just consider them all losers, no matter what. It's whatever. But the outlook in general, I guess I would like it if people would all, I guess I'd say I do feel like, I'm doing all right. I've got, I have a beautiful wife. I have a family. I have a nice life. I don't have to really, I really don't have to care if I didn't. There's really not much. I could just kind of kick it and just be like a normie and just not care and just go on and just go to the lake, and whatever. Which I do, but I don't have to. Also care, but I would rather. I think it would be nice. I think it would be nice if everybody else would go with me. If we could all go together. If we could all go do this thing together and maybe not just see everybody just get fooled into just having some garbage life and be tricked and then just ruin the whole country. Whatever. If everybody else wants to do that, I guess they're free to do it. But if not, I'm just gonna have my say. As we're just overrun by these, just rotten, reprobate kind of people. But like I said, I've been in a worse spot and I've been fine. I've been in a spot where now I could say actually there's a lot of people who I really like, and I meet people and I have people reach out to me all the time, and who I just think are great, who I'm like, wow, like this seems like a really cool dude. I'm happy for it, but I've been in spots where I couldn't find anybody, where I'm like, I don't know, but that's fine too. Either way, I'm sticking to it. These people are frauds. There's nothing that can convince me otherwise. I don't know how much I want to chain it all together, but I'd really say anybody who would touch that or be a part of that, and anyone who would touch them and touch, I can only assume the worst, because I would rather touch not these just dirty, despicable, creatures from the underworld is what they really are. But yeah, thank you for listening. All right.